Welcome to Daytona Beach, Florida, home to America's premier muscle car showroom, Hankster's Hot Rods, where we own and house anywhere from 65 to 80 vehicles at any given time. If you are watching the vehicle we are about to present to you today on any other advertisement other than Hankster's website, which is hanksters.com, please be sure to visit our website so you can determine whether this is in fact a current vehicle that we have for sale. If you are watching this on YouTube, on classiccars.com, on Hemmings, this vehicle may no longer be available for sale. We own all of our cars, so you're dealing directly with the seller. There are no third parties involved. We are not a consignment dealership. We welcome all of you to visit Hankster's Hot Rods to look at the vehicle you might be purchasing. We encourage all of our buyers to come in person. Daytona Beach is a great tourist destination. There's a lot to do here. It's a fun 2-3 day trip, maybe even a week-long trip. Come check out our cars for yourself. Check out underneath. We'll take it on a test drive. Have some fun. Hanksters.com, and if you want to reach us by phone, it's 386-944-9219. Enjoy today's presentation.
Okay, this is the impressive engine bay of a 1956 Oldsmobile 88. It's been modernized quite a bit from its originality. It has at this point a 350 Olds rocket, a V8 engine in it, Edelbrock RPM manifold on it, aluminum of course, a double pump Holley carburetor, dual fuel line, chrome valve pan covers on it, 14-inch unsilenced air cleaner, double stack, where most of them are half this thick. You got twice as much breathing area on this particular one. Chrome strut braces here on it, fender braces actually. The engine that you can see has been completely redone and freshened up. There's no leaks evident whatsoever on the top of the motor. The valve pan covers, the intake system, timing chain cover, water pump, none of it. This particular car has air conditioning on it, and not only that, you have power steering and you have power brakes, dual stage master cylinder, which is upgraded from its original single stage. One neat feature that it still retains is its vacuum wiper system. I see it on the firewall there. Lots of neat stuff happens with those. When you go up a hill, the wipers slow down. Conventional coil, conventional ignition system in it, high silicone plug wires on it. Trying to go across here, see what I can on it. It does have a set of headers on it. I don't know what size the tubes are. I want to say about 1.5 inch primary tube design on them. They're a short tube design. The radiator is the original radiator that came out with this vehicle. It does have a billet overflow tank on it on this side. The suspension looks nice and clean yet on top of it, looking down into it. We'll get a better look once we get up underneath there. Chrome alternator. Flex fan on it. When you get in the front of the radiator here, the core support itself is very nice. It hasn't been disrupted at all. The condenser is in the front of the radiator where it should be. Just to give you an idea of the degree of care that they took doing this restoration. They have terminal blocks on each side of the front of the core support to go ahead and connect all your wires for your headlights and parking lights and associated gear in the front. And there's one on this side the same way. The engine compartment in this thing is very impressive. It is a newer model 350 rocket V8 engine. These things made substantial horsepower. They were always somewhere in the 300 horsepower range, so obviously more than enough to push this guy along as fast as you want to go with it. The entire compartment is very, very high end. You can see that there's been a lot of care taken in the restoration of this vehicle. I don't really see anything negative on it. It even has the heat also hooked up to the passenger compartment. So not only do you have air conditioning, but you also have heat in case this goes to one of the colder states. Definitely not Florida. Great looking engine compartment, very impressive, very highly detailed, and we're going to go around the rest of it, see what we can show you on the outside. Okay, we're going to present to you a 1956 Oldsmobile 88. A really high-end vehicle. This thing is a very, very well done, professionally done restoration on this vehicle in a show quality, and I very seldom use the term show quality, but this approaches a very high show quality vehicle. Notice the gaps on the hood to the front fenders, both of them. It's hard to see because this car's black. Devin will show you some more defined pictures of it. This is not driver quality paint on this car. The paint on this car certainly surpasses that of any driver quality paint job. It has some very intricate brush work done on the front of it. It's also cleared over. You can see it, but you really can't feel it. There's some on the tops of each fender and across the front, and it goes down to the front of the wheels. The chrome on this also is not average chrome. This is a show quality chrome on the front bumper of this thing. It's a two-piece front bumper, and you can see how heavy this thing is, but look at the chrome finish on it. The divider, everything associated with the front end pieces of this is just absolutely as high end as you can get. The chrome around the bezels, there's absolutely no patina under here either, by the way. This is just as nice and fresh and clean as the rest of it. This is very high-end show quality chrome. Looking at it from the front end, you can see the fitment and the total finish of this vehicle, even as far as the inset grille where the Oldsmobile designation is on the driver's side. And you got a Hamster license plate in the front too to upgrade it for you. The parking lights themselves are nice clear crystal lenses on it. The car just has a lot of character from the front end of it. It has two spikes going down the hood here, spears, whatever you want to call them, going down the side of the car. Everything is very high-end, very, very nicely fit. Look at this. Look at the gap clean up to the cowl area. This is finely polished stainless steel. Wiper arms are the correct arms, incorrect blades. It's got a set of Anco blades on it, tinted windshield in the front. The trim that goes around the window, which is normally just standard old stainless trim. This is finely polished to the point where it looks as though it's chrome. Very high end. Door fitment, look at this. Look at the gap on the door. Look at the alignment of the chrome piece going down the side of this. Just everything on this car fits the way it should. This flap, this thing, whenever you open the door, it goes up, and when you close it, it goes down. But it's finely polished stainless the same way, and the same way across the back to the window. And you can see the windows themselves. These are chrome frames that go around the total perimeter of this window, front and back. Usually these have a lot of patina on them. There's a little tiny bit on the rear quarter glass, but the front window has absolutely none. By the way, the windows on the side also appear to be tinted to me. I can't actually, I'm not going to check to see if it right at this point, but they appear to be tinted glass. Okay, we're going to try to open the door for you here. This has remotes for both doors and for the trunk. So, okay, we have the door open. You can see the degree of perfection that went into putting this car together. Look at this. The door seams themselves, you can't see it, but Devin's going to show you pictures underneath. Chrome at the top of the doors. Back in the 50s, they just loved chrome plating. Anything that they could chrome, they did. And again, look at the window. Look at this thing. There's absolutely no deterioration whatsoever around the frame, around the glass area. It does have a newer aftermarket tilt steering column on it, and of course a smaller wheel, 14-inch wheel, as opposed to that great big huge tractor wheel that they used to put on them. Dashboard, you can see the chrome is just show quality in the dash where the gauge enclosure is, and I think there's a clock on the other side if I'm not mistaken. But the interior is a white vinyl type interior. There's seat belts front and back. It has an incorporated headrest into it. They look, it almost looks like a Cadillac seat that's been retrofitted to this car. I don't know really for sure. You can't see it once you get inside the car, you'll see, but there's chrome around the top of everything, down alongside the windows. Everything is chromed, all the trim inside of this vehicle. The unit for the air conditioner is also there. Door gaps, the door front enclosure here where your springs and the hinges are just as fresh and clean and shiny as the outside of the car. Look at the door sills. These things are polished like chrome. Everything on this thing is high end. It's got diamond plated or tufted or whatever the heck they called it back then, pleated interior. Just a beautiful high-end car. It just has a lot of character, a lot of charisma to it. All the panels appear to be real. It doesn't appear that the quarters have been replaced or anything, at least not from out here. Very, very high-end car. Very high-end. Going down the side of it the rest of the way, again, this is all finely polished to look as though it's chrome, but it isn't. This is stainless steel that's polished that finitely Trim around the back window, same way as it was around the front, all finely polished, as nice as you could get to speaker enclosures for the back for auxiliary speakers. Again, your diamond tufted interior for the hat rack in the back. You got to open the trunk, you have to. There we go. Okay, our trunk area. The battery is located in the trunk. Obviously, there's a spare tire under here. We're not going to pull it apart to show you, but there is a spare in it. Probably one of the original spares that came with it, or similar. All the rubbers on this thing, too, are new, by the way. This is new under here and nice and resilient, and it was for the doors also. And you can see the entire trunk area is black carpeted. Just a very nicely done job. The battery is in a box by itself. It's a nice enclosed box. The bumper in the back is the same as it was on the front. The chrome on it is just literally a foot deep. Very, very nicely done. Tail lights, I have no idea what they're out of, but they're very nicely done as the rest of the car is. There's nothing that you could really determine that's an issue on this car. Same thing in the back here. Really nicely done brushwork. Passenger side, same thing. I mean, everything on this car is just precision, absolute precision. The trim around this side of the window, the roof, the paint, everywhere that we look, this thing has, it just reeks quality. Same thing on this side. Devin will get you a better picture of it here. Actually, these are the original molded style armrests too. They're not recovered. Diamond interior here, also on the doors. You can see the dash. Devin showed you the dashboard, that how nicely it's done. The headliner is just beautiful in this car, and it's also white. So, you know, it's got a white interior in it, entire white interior, black carpeting, black outside. It's a nice looking car. Very, very nice custom rendition of a 1956 Oldsmobile. Again, our sill molding, look at that, just as fresh as can be. Door on this side, the same as the other side. Everything is precision, everything. Window on this side, same as the other side. Look at this. This one has absolutely no patina at all. Oh, I forgot to mention on the other side. This, which is usually really deteriorated, there is a little tiny bit of patina right here. Water apparently had laid there at some point of its life and caused that, it's a pot metal, so it caused the chrome to get a little distressed there, but the rest of it is absolutely flawless. Certainly nothing that you would replace or address in any way. Gaps on the back of the door and on the front of the door, absolute precision. You can see that clean up to the cowl area and the hood. Same thing. It's just it's a nice car all over. I forgot to mention, it does have a beautiful set of true spoke wheels. These are not fake spokes or hubcaps. These are a true spoke wheel with the gangster white walls on it. Just a beautiful, beautiful set of wheels and tires to go along with the character of this car. It's a 1956 Oldsmobile, 88, which was a model. It was the base year that, or base model they had for that year. And you can see it's certainly not a base car at this point in time. It has been done over the top. It's a show quality type vehicle. It has a lot of character to it. It has a lot of amenities. You've got true spoke wheels on it, wide white wall tires, a white interior, vinyl interior that approaches that of leather. It's a real high-end, like a Tex material. It's not just a cheap vinyl. It has a modern driveline in it, a 350 Olds rocket motor in it, newer compressor, dual stage master cylinder. Any way that you could upgrade this to a vehicle that would actually be usable and dependable, that's what you have here. It's a very nicely done car. Again, the paint is much above a driver quality paint job. It approaches that of the finest show job that you could want. Really a great looking car. The chrome is show quality. Phenomenal car, and it's here at Hanksters in Daytona Beach. So we'd love you to come down and take a look at it, but if you can't, look at everything that Devin compiles for you on our website so you can look at the car in its entirety. Okay, this is the underside of our 1956 Oldsmobile 88. And it's got a newer 350 Olds 4-barrel engine in it at this point. You can see it has some pretty decent long tube headers on it. 3-inch collectors going into, I'm going to call them 2 1/4-inch pipes. Transmission lines for the turbo tranny still hooked up to an auxiliary cooler for the transmission fluid in the front here. You can see it does have a really unique suspension system. I'm not really familiar with these in the 50s, but it's really neat how they built the A-arm lower suspension components here with standoffs actually from this lower tray that houses the springs, and then it goes on to a shock absorber that's in the center of the coil springs, and a swing arm on the top of it. Really neat setup. I mean, very, very well constructed. You can see really heavy duty. Steering box is nice and tight looking, no leaks or anything. Tie rod ends are all fresh looking also. It has drum brakes in the front of it. Conventional starter above the headers, which are a ceramic coated type material on them. They're not just painted, they are a ceramic coated material. It does have a spin-on oil filter, which I'm going to guess is going to be indicative of a motor newer than 67 or newer. I'm going to guess, but I don't know. Donnie will give you the specs on it. The frame on this car is just absolutely out of sight structure-wise. You've got like a double frame like this, starting in the front, going back to here, then it splits and it goes into a C-channel frame here with a huge X-type I-beam system that goes through the center and ties in your two circumferential C-channel perimeter frames on the outside. Really, really strong structurally designed car. Transmission mount, you can see it's a heavy steel member that goes across. No leaks in the engine, the bell housing area, or the transmission or tail shaft at this point. That doesn't mean somewhere down the line you're not going to find some oil on the floor, because it's a muscle car. Just wait, it'll happen. The rocker panels are the original rocker panels. You can still see they have their vent holes bent in them the way they were from the factory. Original brake lines still inside the frame over here. I don't see the fuel line, but it's got to be here somewhere. Well, I don't see it. They hid it from us, but there's definitely a fuel line that goes from a tank to the engine. I can assure you of that. The floor pans themselves do appear to be the original floor pans. I don't see any indication that they have been replaced through the years. This thing's very structurally sound. It's an exemplary car, it really is. And I'm not even a 50s guy either, and I even like this car. The substructure frames underneath the floor pans are all really nice and taut yet. Everything is just in excellent condition. There's no deterioration whatsoever on any of it. Functional parking brake. You can see it's a cantilever system here that actuates these two cables in the back. Two glass pack mufflers, so it's going to have a little pop to the exhaust on this guy, but kind of correct for the era. That's what this guy would have had on it in '57 whenever people were putting dual exhausts and glass packs and wire wheels and everything on these cars. It's kind of era correct, period correct for this car. Drive shaft has a new U-joint in the back and new U-joint up front. And there's new leaks at the tail shaft, what I did mention. Does have a set of pretty nice heavy-duty shocks in the rear of this guy too. Has a rear sway bar hidden up under there. I can't believe that. Wow, how about that? Back in '56 yet they had a sway bar on the rear system of this car. Has a pumpkin-type rear axle. I don't know what it is, but Donnie will give you the specs on that too, give you the gear ratio and tell you whether it's a posi, and I don't even know if it made posi back in '56. Leaf spring rear suspension in it. There's still some nice curvature to the springs themselves. Drum brakes in the back, coincide with the drums up front. Gas tank is the original gas tank, and you can see it still has the old-fashioned drain plug in it for draining the old gas out of it and putting new fuel in it after a winter of sitting back then. The well where the tire fits is still very, very nice. It's not marked up or dinged up or anything. Usually these things are kind of caved in here and there from being driven over things. There are no drop downs in the quarters. The quarter panels are the quarter panels themselves. They have wheel wells built into them. Just a very nice all original car. I can't see anything in this car that doesn't reek originality. It still even has some of its original splatter sound deadener that was being put on by all the companies at that point in time. Tell you, going back up through here, honestly, there is absolutely nothing that I could call a negative to. And especially take note of the frame sections, how clean everything is. I mean, There is absolutely no indication that anything's had any deterioration at all through the years. Again, you can see no leaks on the driveline at this point. This car's at Hangsters in Daytona, and if you're in the market for a very unique 50s vehicle with a real high quality paint and fit, finish, everything, interior, this is a car that you maybe want to take a look at. It's a pretty nice car, and for me to say that about a 50s car, it's got to be nice. Okay, this is the interior of a really, really great 1956. It was 10 years old when this car came out. 9 years old, actually, when this car came out. Wow. 56 Oldsmobile 88. The headliner in this thing is white Naugahyde vinyl, and it is just as new as it was when it was put on. There's no cloudiness in the rear view mirror. There's no deterioration on the, check this out, huh? Vent wings. All your hardware on the doors is really nice and clean. It has a custom tilt steering wheel in it, so you do have an option of a tilt wheel here. An appropriate horn for this car. Turn signal to the left. You can see it's functioning as it should. It's just lighting up and beating itself to death over there in the dashboard on the left-hand side, and the instrument cluster. And the same thing for the right. Speedometer, I'm assuming, is going to work. We'll find out once we get out there. Our gas gauge is functioning. It shows just gave us just a hair over a quarter of a tank of fuel. The wipers, check this out. They're vacuum wipers. First I got to figure out where the wipers are. That's not them. That's not them. That's a cigarette lighter. I give up. Here they are. And they are vacuum wipers. So when you go up a hill, they slow down. But they do work at this point. Check that out. And they even park themselves. Radio. How about that? We got a radio that works. Good sound system. Air conditioning. And it loads the motor down and it kicks on. So definitely have air conditioning, and it's functioning as it should also. We have a trio of aftermarket gauges on here showing your amps, oil pressure, and temperature. Really a nice set of gauges in this car. A lot of chrome. If you look, you can see everything's accentuated with chrome. Everything around the windows, going back the sides of the car, around the back end and the back seat, everything is chrome plated, very high end. Really neat stuff that they did back in the 50s. Very, very high quality. And you can see the quality of the chrome is very good too. Nothing's deteriorated. Really looks great. Let's go for a ride and see what we got. It's a really great running car. This thing has got a real nice tone to it. When you're cruising along, it seems like it pulls a little bit to the left. It could be tire pressure. We really haven't gone over it yet, but seems like it pulls just a little bit to the left when you get to the steering wheel. Let's try brakes, see if it pulls anywhere with them. No, they stop just as straight as can be. Power brakes too, and you can really lay into these power brakes. Very strong power brake system on it. Look at how everything is all hand stitched. Everything very nicely done in this car. A very high quality piece of restoration here. You see the speedometer is working as it should. Gas gauge is fluctuating just because of the way they did the float systems back there. There's no dampening on it. Great car. Really great car. We're going to get on it a little bit here and turn around. You can get a better idea of what this thing sounds like under a load. On this side a little bit. To 50-some mile an hour pretty quick, and that was from the second gear roll. I didn't get on at the first gear. Has a nice sound to it. It has the old glass pack sound that would be appropriate for this era. It's just a great car. Look at it. It does go down the road straight. It must have been, it's better now. It's because I used the brakes, I think. Maybe one of the brakes is hanging up a little tiny bit, and that's why it's pulling off to the left. That's the only thing that we can find on this entire vehicle. Everything worked, including the radio. We usually don't even mess with radios. But this thing, everything everything is spot on. I mean, the fit, the finish, the quality of this vehicle, the restoration is totally amazing. And like I said, I am not a fan of any of the 50s cars at all, or anything any older than that. But this thing is really, it's amazing. It's got my attention. It's got my admiration because the finish on the outside of this car, the fit, the interior appointments in this thing, headliner, everything. There's not one thing that you can call a negative on. This thing is as nice a 50s vehicle as you could ever hope to find, and it's available in Angsters in Daytona Beach, Florida.